Okay, welcome to another Shop Talk. Today we're not going to be talking about this beast, which is my new liquid cooled table. You can hear the pump going over there. I'm going to be bringing you this soon. I need to test it. When it's all tested and I know it's working, there'll be drawings, there'll be a video and all that kind of stuff. It has a huge sheet of aluminium. This is 3 by 1.5, huge sheet of aluminium on there, solid 8mm. I'm just testing it for leaks and seeing how it's working. Next week I'll have the aluminium on and we'll carry on. Today I want to talk about waste and offcuts. Now, I often get asked about what happens to my resin waste, and the truth is there is not much of it, but I'll show you that coming up. So I've just squared this table up and I've started to use my track saw again on these big tabletops, mainly because of the clear up. The panel saws just get so clogged. I don't actually want any contamination down my extraction. I have to remember to change the bag. So actually I just put it all in the little vat, which is general waste rather than just wood chip-ins, and then just a quick sweep up, much quicker than that. But what I wanted to focus on was how much of this slab we've used. You'll see this in a future build. This is a slab, someone's dining table, English chestnut, and that is my offcut. So let's have a look at the offcut from this slab. It's a good old chunk of resin there. You could take more time on the molds. I find, just because of the way it is making molds, I always tend to cut off, I don't know about that, what's that, 10mm max? But that's some of the cut-ins from this slab. And there's the, well, it's not really sawdust, is it? It's resin dust mainly, because there's not much sawdust on this one, just a little bit there. But look at the waste. This is an English slab, looked after, kept flat all these years, and I would say, what we're looking at, 99.9 probably, if I calculated it, has been used. So do I like clearing it up? No, not really. It's a pain, but it's very light. Doesn't seem to weigh anything. It's just very static charge, which is why it doesn't get extracted well. Very, very light. Now, if this was squashed, there is not much material there. So people have said, what do you do with your waste? There is very little waste. You saw the offcuts. This is some of the shavings. Just as an example, I'm not being silly, but that was something that arrived in the post. Now, I do try to reuse and recycle all my packaging, so that will go into a black sack for padding. And then the cardboard, obviously, will go into recycling for cardboard. But if you generally look at what sort of waste that is, one item sent in the post, there is more waste and more weight of plastic there than there is resin there. And that is just an example of how to put it in perspective. I also did a project last week with some MDF. There's just at a small, there'll be more underneath the table. This is, there's obviously some of the resin's got in there, but this is some MDF dust, which is absolutely horrible. Now my extraction is very good, so this is not what went in the extractor. This is the bit that sort of went in the shop. There's loads of that. If you were a business doing 30 sheets a day of MDF, can you imagine all the waste on that? So resin is not that much of a high waste product. And considering we're going to yield, I don't know, as I said, 99.9% of that slab. This slab is also a high value product. It has a lot of man hours into it, a lot of machinery, a lot of time polishing. The resin's not cheap. Everything about making a resin table or resin product is high labor, and most of the time, if it's done well, is a high value product. So we're actually getting a lot of, I'm getting a living from this one piece of wood, whereas if I chop this piece of wood up to make some windows, I would need tons of it. Basically, if you wanted some chestnut out of here, you're looking at a little piece here, there's a defect there, there's some splits there, that's no good. You get a bit here, but it's a different color. Does the client want it to change? So you can see where I'm going with this. And obviously I'm not trying to preach. If you understand the way the waste wood works, you don't need to all hit me in the comments. This is just to give you an idea of how the resin can complement the wood, bring the wood alive. For certain people, not for everyone, I agree. Doesn't need to be glowing blue and yellows and greens. The copper that I use and the copper bronze and some of the clear, the smoked, or even the gray kind of marble, very subtle, just brings the wood alive rather than these kind of great big swathes of rivers. So that's a couple of weeks for my landfill. I could lift that up with one hand, it's not heavy. Bit of MDF dust in there, tiny bit of resin, some of the plasticky cardboard boxes, things like that. Offcuts of anything you're doing. That is where the resin goes, and there is not a lot of it. And if, on the other hand, I'll show you the sawdust piles. But no one really asks what I do with my wood waste. It's obviously, people just assume it goes into sawdust or gets burnt on a fire. But I'd like to just show you, for the people who don't know, there are people that do, and you may not find this interesting, how much waste there is using some sort of character English wood, oak in this case, to try and get a couple of styles for some gates that I was making for myself. You'll have seen the other gates. These next ones that I'm going to show you now are coming soon. Even I was surprised. I didn't go to the lumber yard or timber yard and buy some wood for this, which I normally would for the straight grain stuff. What I ended up doing was going out in the yard, picking some slabs that I didn't think were good for tables or my furniture, and I tried to get it out of there, and I did get it out of there. But I want to just show you how much waste there is in using English character wood and trying to get out the clean straight grains. Okay, that's the sawdust from the double gate, and the blue bag at the back is the offcuts. So obviously we couldn't lift that. That's almost a ton, I'd say, probably 3/4 of a ton. Plus with that, it's probably like almost a ton of waste, just under. So that just gives you an idea, and that's pretty normal if you're using English oak. Okay, so not everyone's going to have as much waste as you just saw in that out there, but that's probably because you're buying the wood from a yard or from a timber merchant, and they've already had the waste. You're just getting the really nice bits, but all the rest of that is going into waste. Another thing which is happening a lot at the moment with this biomass and stuff is people are just chipping trees, including English oak trees. I spoke about it before here. They're chipping the whole tree, turning it into pellets and then burning it and getting a grant for it. So it really is a minefield out there of waste. And from my side of it, what I see, and please, this is not to try and convince you to use resin. It's just a topic that I thought was quite interesting, and maybe some people don't think about these things. But from my side of things, I would see a big old slab. Years ago, I would have chopped it up, tried to get the best pieces out, used what I could, made an odd shelf, a bit of, some rustic furniture maybe from the other bits. Nowadays, I see those big slabs and I visualize, say, a dining table, a coffee table, or headboard, whatever it is someone wants, or just, a door, whatever it is. I kind of see that, and that bits of wood stays in my mind, and that's going to be eventually something that's going to be used with resin, and I'll remember it as a feature. And then I'll get the cleaner straight grain if I've got any in stock, or I'll go and buy some from the timber dealer, which I'm going to use to construct things like stiles and rails and all the things and legs that we want dead straight and clean, structurally sound. So that's kind of what's changed the way I work with wood. You obviously see a lot of resin on YouTube and a lot of things like that, and some people just don't like it, and so they think it's a lot of hype. The truth is about it, when you go to the furniture shows, the design shows, there's very, very little there. You're overwhelmed on the internet with it because it's a very photogenic thing, and it does catch a lot of people's attention. But it is kind of, for me, it's become something that's almost a recycling product. By having that resin, I can use more of the wood, scrap less of the wood, create less firewood, create less sawdust. So it doesn't replace it. It doesn't replace for standard furniture, but you should be aware the amount of waste from a standard clean line table in oak furniture land is way, way more than something like this, which is virtually zero. This is an example of another table that's coming up soon on a video. This is the 2 slabs that the client saw, and this is what the table looked like when it's finished. So regardless whether that sort of kind of furniture is your taste, I could grab the waste in one hand, put it in a log burner, legs are made of metal, there is absolutely zero waste, tiny little offcut on the end, and a bit of sanding and planing for the resin. Okay, that's it for this week's update. I hope you found that interesting, not too boring, just me going on about waste and resin. I do appreciate it. If you'd like the video, please give us a thumbs up. Thanks for sticking around to the end. One of the downsides of resin is it's a bit hard going, it's bloody hard to sand. These are the belts from my core wide belt I've got to replace now. They've been 2 years. And they need a new set. Not that expensive, luckily, but that's what I'm going to be doing this afternoon. If you come Tuesday, look over there. I'm not allowed to talk about it. There's something in the Festool box, so I can't mention it at the moment. I'm very excited about it. I can't wait to show you all on Tuesday. There'll be a video coming. That's the first time I can show it. So thanks a lot, as always. Please hit the like button. Thanks so much to my Patreons. I really, really appreciate it and your support, and you'll definitely help me make these videos and keep me going. So thanks very much. I'll see you all on the next one.